Everyone, it's nice and warm already here in Corpus Christi, Texas. I wanted to take the time out to read y'all the latest Benjamin Fulford report. In a first, U.S. Supreme Commander General Joseph Dunford addresses the UN as a head of republic. On June 17th, in an unprecedented move, U.S. Supreme Commander General Joseph Dunford addressed the United Nations Peacekeeping Summit to discuss transitioning the U.S. military into a global force for peace. U.S. forces will now be replacing corrupt and poorly trained UN peacekeeping troops who have caused many scandals involving rape, theft, etc. The full text of this speech can be seen here. I'll be sure to include the source link as always. Remarks by Ambassador Samantha Power and General Joseph F. USN, US UN State Gov. Remarks by Ambassador Samantha Power and General Joseph F. Dunford at a UN meeting on peacekeeping. My apologies. Pentagon officials say that in addition to what Dunford told the UN, this also means the U.S. military will now be focusing its energies on Israel, drug cartels in China, and the South China Sea. They will also be fighting to protect ecosystems and hunt down poachers of endangered species, other Pentagon officials say. The Rothschild family, secret rulers of Israel, for their part, told the White Dragon Society, "We want to mend our ways." They promised to reach an agreement on setting up and financing a new future planning agency during meetings due to take place in July, according to WDS sources. However, a representative of a group who previously negotiated with what they call R&R, or Rothschild and Rockefeller, warned that these families were just fronts for the Italian and Spanish black nobility headed by the Borgia, Medici, Orsini, and Del Banco Warburg families, among others. The negotiators they plan to send will be professional James Bond 007 type assassins, this source warned. He said his group lost several hundred of their agents as a result of their failed negotiations. The source said his group was warned by others not to trust these people, but they decided to try to negotiate a new financial system with them anyway. The result of such decision since then has cost the life of a few hundred agents. Even though the ratio is about 1 of ours for every 10 of them, has been an extremely painful experience to endure. In addition, they will put a large price on the heads of all the main people involved in the transaction, usually between $20 to $100 million. In conclusion, the source continued, the R&R have no honor, never keep their word, and will bluntly lie to you all of the time to get their way. They act like this because in the past they never had to comply, and that behavior has always worked great for them, so they strongly believe they never have to, so they never will. They follow no law, no rule, no code of honor, or any type but their own benefit, regardless of the human and capital cost. We have absolutely no value to them unless we are their 100% submissive slaves. The Rothschilds responded by saying Nathaniel Rothschild recently lost a $300 million lawsuit, a first ever loss for that family. Furthermore, the French head of the family, Baron David de Rothschild, is on the run from the French police after an indictment for fraud. In other words, they know they are no longer above the law. They also want to find a new protector for their colony of brainwashed slaves known as Israel. That is why Benjamin Netanyahu, I don't know how to say that, has gone 4 times to Russia recently to seek Russian protection from expected Pentagon law enforcement actions against their country. The Russian government, however, is now run by the Orthodox Church and the old Tsarist nationalist network, and is in no mood to protect the people who caused their nation so much torment during the 20th century. The WDS will only protect the innocent among the Jews and will insist on their re-education based on their true history and applying the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you, to all peoples and not just Jews. The black nobility, for its part, is fighting desperately to keep their EU fascist government intact. they staged a killing, real or fake is not clear, of pro-U politician Joe Cox to try to manipulate public opinion towards staying or at least create a plausible cover story for a planned vote stealing of the Brexit referendum due on June 23rd. WDS and Illuminati sources have both previously corresponded with Joe Cox when she was identifying herself as a Rothschild agent. If the British people vote to regain their independence, it will be a huge blow to the black nobility. Even if they don't, the European banking system is in a state of collapse, which will undo their fascist EU project anyway. In any case, the WDS will only respect action, not promises by the R&R and their black nobility bosses. If they steal or try to steal the British referendum, there will be consequences. Speaking about R&R, a CIA source says he recently saw Richard Rockefeller alive and well in Argentina. Rockefeller supposedly died in a plane crash in 2014. So if this source is right, he just faked his death so he could escape the U.S. Pentagon sources say he is the exception, and most top Khazarian mafia bosses still in the U.S. will not be allowed to escape justice. The source of their power in the U.S., the ability to create and distribute money, is also being confiscated. To that end, there was an unusual meeting at the U.S. Treasury Department on June 14th where U.S. presidential spokesperson Barack Obama, General Dunford, and Director of National Intelligence James Clapper discussed. Special update. The Rothschilds finally got in touch. This is what they had to say about the situation to a WDS member in Asia. It is 0440 hours here. I finally got in touch with them. Strange time for sure. I spoke, pardon me just a second. I finally got in touch with them. Strange time for sure. I spoke with Nat's personal secretary. I am sure the call was rerouted. This is what she told me. We are aware of what you and your contact in Tokyo desire. We do agree and are working with other members of the family to make this happen. We are also aware of what is currently taking place. The golden lilies are ready to be harvested. The first of 3 is being prepared now. The group that thinks they will get it will not. It will be integrated in the changeover to the new plan. Each new district will have their own reserves for their new currency. Each district will be part of a basket of Asian currencies that are backed with various commodities. We will send our representatives over to meet with you as we know how to reach you. After that, you and your contact in Tokyo will be able to meet with Nat directly should you desire. Please be on standby. I have her name as well, at least the one she gave me. She sounds like she is British, as I can hear her from the way she talks. I do not know what you should do with this information. Maybe release part of it and hold the part about actually naming blank, blank, blank back for now. It seems that your numbers were checked out and they are obviously aware of what you've been saying in your weekly updates as well as our conversations. So in other words, the Rothschilds have finally agreed to support a massive campaign to end poverty, stop environmental destruction, and trigger an exponential expansion of humanity into the universe. This is good news indeed for the planet. We will keep readers posted on any further developments. Old report begins here. Negotiations for a new financial system are on hold as the controllers of the old system seem to have gone into or preparing to go into hiding. This means that at the time of the writing, it is unclear if there will be peaceful transition to a new financial system or a hostile takeover of the old system. The backdrop to these now on hold negotiations is an increasingly chaotic situation in the U.S., the Middle East, and Europe as the bankruptcy of the Western financial system begins to affect social and economic stability. The situation in the U.S. is especially critical with an intense power struggle that has become visible even in the corporate media. This can be seen as some of the Khazarian-controlled media, like the New York Times and the Washington Post, reporting a very different reality than media like the Wall Street Journal and ABC TV or nationwide McClatchy newspaper chain. The former, for example, report that Hillary Clinton is now the official Democratic Party presidential candidate, while the latter are concentrating more on the criminal investigations into the Clinton Foundation, etc. The clear sign of a split in the power structure, though, comes from the White House itself. Their acting president, Barack Obama, publicly endorsed Hillary Clinton for president, only to have the White House press spokesperson come out an hour later to say that Clinton was under criminal investigation. The bankruptcy on May 2nd of the U.S. of America Corporation is being felt in increasingly obvious ways. For example, many of the close to 50 million Americans who rely on food aid to feed their families were experiencing glitches with their cards this month in what is either a cyber attack or an attempt to steal their money. Another example is that police have gone from stopping cars and stealing the passengers' cash to using high-tech devices to empty their credit cards. There are also reports of glitches in mobile phone networks and GPS systems around the U.S. in what is a clear sign of intense cyber warfare. The false flag attack in Orlando, Florida, where 50 people were allegedly killed, will not stop leaks or distract from the ongoing campaign to end Khazarian mafia control of the U.S., Pentagon officials say. The Orlando incident also illustrated the split in the U.S., with many corporate media outlets describing it as an attack by a single ISIS radical Muslim killer, while internet news sites, agency officials, and other aware people instantly recognized it as yet another Khazarian mafia psychological warfare operation, false flag incident. The Pentagon and the agencies already know the Khazarian mafia, the real culprits behind this attack, and know the trail leads to Israel and World Khazarian Mafia headquarters in Switzerland. This false flag took place immediately after top bosses of the Khazarian Mafia ended their meeting at the Bilderberg gathering in Dresden, Germany. Although not on the official list of attendees, Rothschild family sources confirm. And I'm going to stop there because it's a lot to read, and it's a lot to read. So I'm going to stop there and be sure to include the source link as always. But there's a lot of good stuff on these Benjamin Fulford updates, so I recommend that y'all be sure to check it out. Much love as always, Snugglebug.